to two films directed by Tsui Hark, perhaps the primary example of a Hong Kong New Wave filmmaker. Hark, who was born in Canton, was raised in the Chinese section of Saigon and educated in two Texas film schools. His first movie, The Butterfly Murders, 1979. It's a supernatural martial arts-infused detective story, and it was a major flop at the box office. In the movie, the castle of the evil Lord Shum is a breeding ground and nesting place for a flock of deadly butterflies. Now, when government officials, as well as their swordsmen, come to investigate, they are trapped in an underground maze. While they're in the labyrinth, they are being trailed by a seemingly invincible armor-wearing supernatural assassin and are left to the mercy of the deadly butterflies. The movie features some impressive action sequences, but is somewhat claustrophobic and has no sense of humor. Hark's second film, D.U. Wu Men, 1980, also known as We Are Going to Eat You, also known as Hell Has No Gates, also known as No Door to Hell, is also one of his strangest movies. It's presented as a black comedy and set in Republican China. The plot has an undercover cop, a cop for the Central Surveillance Agency sent to capture a famous bandit. The cop is unaware that the village he goes to is inhabited by cannibals, and that all outsiders to the community are considered to be, well, basically tasty food. The movie infuses the narrative with moments of comic relief, except that these moments are, dripping with elements of poetic horror. For example, hordes of skin-masked butchers, they're wearing skin masks, just like in Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Well, they chase the hapless cop through the village in a manner evoking Matt Sennett's Keystone Cops. Similarly, the undercover cop's traumatic meeting with a fat and levacious female impersonator cannibal pushes the comedy into a kind of horrifying grotesquerie. The movie would become a cult favorite in the West, and in many ways the film's delineation of sexuality as horror is superior to the director's better-known and surreal D. Ben. And the chillingly angry excess of violence foreshadows Hark's superb third film, Dangerous Encounters of the First Kind, in its masterful representation of a city imbued with both fear and smoldering hatred. Now, Dangerous Encounters of the First Kind, 1981, also known as Don't Play with Fire, as I mentioned, is Hark's third feature, is an exercise in deliberately shocking violence, unlike anything he ever did before or since. In the movie, three teenage boys place a bomb in a movie theater. They do this just for kicks. The three boys attract the attention of a beautiful but amoral woman who blackmails them into performing acts of terrorism. Later on in the movie, they plan a heist that goes terribly wrong. The four of them steal a lot of cash from ex-CIA mercenaries and are then hunted down and slaughtered. The cold, detached, but highly effective thriller is in fact too violent and anarchistic and does no business at the box office. So Hark joins Cinema City Productions and then directs two hit comedies for the studio. Then Hark makes the landmark horror fantasy film Zoo, Warriors of the Magic Mountain. This is from 1983. Zoo, which is made for Golden Harvest, features a mega budget and an all-star cast, including yummy Bridget Lynn. And Hark even recruited the dazzling Star Wars special effects crew for this groundbreaking Chinese Hong Kong fantasy horror film. In the movie, a disillusioned soldier, played by Yun Bao, finds himself lost in the forests of the Magic Mountain. The mountain is an evil place, inhabited by ghosts, evil spirits, and demons. He soon meets a group of Taoist warrior monks and nuns, martial artists, spiritual warriors, who seek to battle the Blood Monster. The Blood Monster is the personification of the evil mountain, and the Blood Monster wishes to destroy, all creation. He wants to destroy the world. Now, Hark's next film, A Chinese Ghost Story, 1986, which I talked about briefly in part one, is an even bigger hit and spawns 2 sequels, not to mention many imitations. Hark then creates a collective film workshop and becomes director John Woo's producer. They make 4 films together, including the world-renowned The Killer. The 2 filmmakers then have a falling out. Hark then embarks on his most expensive film, Green Snake, 1993, which is based on a famous ancient Chinese folktale. Green Snake is a big flop at the Hong Kong box office, but the movie acquires a strong cult following in the West. Now, in the film, a 1,000-year-old white snake, played by the lovely Joey Wong, and a 500-year-old green snake, played by Maggie Chung, Hubba Hubba, try to spiritually and physically evolve into human women. When the white snake falls in love with a stuffy scholar, and the green snake enrages a self-righteous priest, the 2 sexy serpentines court disaster, since the Taoist priest has decided to destroy them and keep humans and non-humans separate. Green Snake's failure at the Hong Kong box office would signal the slow decline, the slow deflation of the Hong Kong horror fantasy cinema in the 1990s into the 2000s. Let's move on to Hex, Ji, 1980. This is for the Shaw Brothers, directed by Tsui